Hey guys, Skilled Legend here, and today I want to talk about the petition. So normally I wouldn't think of like talking about the petition as an actual video. I know that I've mentioned it a few times here and there, and like trying to get people to sign it, trying to get people to at least look at it, and if they're interested or they have the time to just take their time and actually sign it, like I just said. But anyways, like normally it's not one of those things I would go on and on about, but here's the reason why I am going to go on and on about it. And that is because it is actually important. Now, I know I said that, petitions aren't always that important unless they're about world issues. I mean, especially when it comes to an anime, it doesn't sound that important. And most people would say, okay, Skilled, you're losing your mind. Like petitions are usually a little kid's way of trying to get what they want and kind of making themselves feel better. But here's the thing why I think that this petition is important. The reason that I think that this petition is actually important is because at this point in time, the writers and the people who make Pokemon are actually listening to us. They gave us the fan service that we kind of wanted in X, Y, and Z, the anime, and then they gave us what we wanted in Sun and Moon, the games, and for the most part in the anime, except for obviously a few things if you're a Serena fan, a Marship, or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it's important, is because they're still listening to their fans. You just gotta be vocal and keep on putting the pressure on. And, like, here's the thing. While these things are really, really important, you just gotta keep pushing forward and gotta keep making progress. Because that's what these people are looking for. I mean, if you sit there and you complain about certain things like, oh, well, I guess Serena's not going to be on the show anymore. I guess I should go promote another ship. Or if you were a Pearl shipper before this and you became a Moor shipper because Dawn left, that's part of the problem that we have, is that they think that this is okay because these people, like, the popularity just dwindles after a while if a person doesn't show up on the show. Uh, and a person doesn't return. But the fact of the matter is if this was a couple of years ago, yeah, I would say that that's your prerogative. But the thing is now they really do know what the fans want, and they continue to provide what the fans want. But you just got to keep putting the pressure on, making sure that they know what you want. Because back in the day, they used to only kind of care about certain things, and like they were really conservative at one point. The reason that Brock left the show is actually really widely unknown. But a couple of years ago, and I read an article about it today on multiple sources just to make sure that it wasn't bogus. But, anyways, so they asked one of the people who worked on the show back in the Indigo League why Brock actually left. And the guy was actually really serious about it. He said, they were actually doing it on a baseless accusation that never even came to fruition, but it was because they thought that the Western world would think that Brock was racist because of his eyes, how they made his character. And the Western culture actually loved and grew with Pokemon a lot faster than the people who lived in Japan back when it first came out. And so they were actually really, really worried about a lawsuit or someone suing them because their character was kind of making fun of Asian culture by having those eyes. And it never came true. In fact, no one ever has sued or called Brock racist based on his eyes. And they actually or they didn't petition, but they actually his popularity was through the roof so much that they brought him back, even though they were still scared that that might happen someday. And that's the thing, though. You guys gotta realize that if you want something to happen, now's the best time because they have the social media. They have all these things to know what the fans want. In fact, I'm not sure how many of you know this, but there's 5 or 6 or more writers that are still part of the team for Sun and Moon. 2 of them are in really high positions in the show. One of them, the guy who did Serena's debut episode XY60, is actually now the director of the show, Sun and Moon. And the lady who did the cosplay episode, the storyboard for it, she is actually in the position to she's the series composition person. So, like, I don't know how many of you know what that means, but I'll explain it to you real quick. The person who does series composition, she gets the story, the narrative from the director, and then she decides how the writers are going to do it. She goes, okay, episode 1, that one's a serious episode. Episode 2, that's a beach episode. Episode 3 is about Pikachu. Episode 4 is about Serena. Or episode 5 is about Mallow. That's how series composition works. She decides where the story is going to go and how it's going to be laid out and the continuity of things, and then they write the stories. And of course, just because she's the series composition person now does not mean that she won't be writing episodes still. But then we got a mode, and we also got the person who wrote the Depression arc, so the guy who wrote 27 and 28 of X, Y, and Z. And we also got the person who did the Kiss episode, which he even went on Twitter to say that he left the hints for more shippers to find, and he's actually writing episodes in Sun and Moon, so it'll be interesting to see if he leaves hints of stuff that could come in the future. But these people are prominent writers and prominent people within the series now, so it obviously means that they still know that we kind of care. It just depends on whether we continue to push forward for a more shipping and Serena to return, or if we just let it die and we continue the trend and, just move on to the next characters and say that that's okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to be perfect and that she's going to come back 100%, but I'm just saying, if you do continue to push this, the petition especially, with the whole fan servicing thing, they do realize what's going on. If they didn't realize what was going on, they would not have had the kiss happen, and also they wouldn't have continued to give hints whether the series was over. Now, I know that you guys can say that it could just be baiting, but here's the thing. They know how popular it is just because of the petition. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but whenever you reach a goal on a petition on the change.org, since it is a government website, they actually do see the goal when you reach it. So, the current goal for the petition, since we just hit 31,000 something, is 35,000 now. So let's say tomorrow, even though that's fairly unrealistic to get 4,000 signatures just in a day, but let's say tomorrow it hits 35,000. They will be notified. The Pokemon Company will be notified of that 35,000 that the petition just hit. Now, I know what some of you guys are going to say. Well, yeah, that's not really that huge of a deal. But the thing is it really is, because if you eventually hit the 100,000, which I don't think that we're honestly going to do, since, like I said, it is an official government website, they actually have to give an official response. And that's the cool thing. They don't have to tell us that Serena is going to Alola. They don't have to tell us that she's not. But hitting 100,000 is very significant because of that. It's significant because they have to give that official response. And I bet if we did ever get 100,000 for Serena to Alola, they would be impressed by that enough that they probably would have her just come back for Alola just because of fan service. But that's another story for another time. But anyways, I'm just saying, if you really do want her to come back, it's a popularity contest. Instead of moving on to, the new ships with Lily and Lana and Mallow, stick with the more shipping. Tell your friends. The best thing that you can do is be like, hey, go sign this petition. It may sound stupid, but I'm just saying, It's the best time that you could do it because, you know, you guys are quite lucky. When I was a kid, there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't these forums to tell the writers, "Hey, I want this and I want it now." And you guys are really so privileged because you can tell them what you want. You can literally sign a petition. You can go on YouTube on their channel and say, "Where's Serena?" You can go to the writers on Twitter and say, "Where's Serena?" You know, like back when I was a kid, there wasn't YouTube and there wasn't these forums to go out and reach out to these people. So you kind of had to just stick with it whether you like the changes or not. I mean, I didn't have these forums when I was a kid to just go out and do all these things. And you guys have that power now, so, if you, I mean, when I was a kid, I couldn't, talk to someone who lived in Japan. I couldn't tell my friends in Japan, "Hey, can you please tell, or can you please, go to, can you please write a letter, or please give a call to the Pokemon companies, you know, their webs or not their website, their phone number for, you know, suggestions," which was a thing back in the day. Yes, if you had a suggestion, you had to literally call and tell them your suggestion for certain things. That's how you did things back in the day before the internet was hugely popular. But anyways, that's besides the point. I couldn't call my friend in Japan and tell him, "Hey, tell them to, you know, bring Brock back," or whatever. Like, there just wasn't those forums. But now you can connect with anyone over anything. I mean, I could tell my friend in Latin America who's on Twitter, "Hey man, tell all your friends to sign this petition." Or I can talk to one of my good buddies on Twitter from Japan and say, "Hey man, can you please try to get your friends who are more shippers to sign this?" Like, you can literally connect with everybody. I mean, I'm trying to connect with you guys right now through YouTube. But that's the thing, like, it's just one big popularity contest. And like I said with the Brock story, that is a perfect example of how you can make a change. But all you gotta do is make sure that you continue to push for it. You can't give up and just move on, because that's part of the problem. If you think that, "Oh goodness, this isn't gonna happen anymore because it happens every year," or that you just want to move on because the series is over, that's part of the problem. It really is. They think that they can get away with it because no one ever challenges them over the female companions leaving. And so they never continually have a female companion travel with Ash more than one or two regions. But if you continue to tell them what you want, you never know what's going to happen. So, anyways, tell me what you guys think. Do you think that we should continue to try to push this petition as hard as we can? Or would you guys rather go with a more direct approach and just spam the hashtag or asking about Serena to the actual writers? Or do you guys not even really care anymore? Do you guys just want to move on and, you know, enjoy Sun and Moon because it's just too much work? Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night.